Let's move on to the next team in the NFC West. It's the Arizona Cardinals. Their needs look like this. They need an edge. They need a cornerback, a wide receiver. They got the 23rd pick in the first round and the 55th pick in the second round, followed up by the 87th and the third, and so on and so forth. I want to start this off here because I did not pick one of the needs that we have listed here. I kind of went off the board here, and this is even a third round pick, so this really isn't like a big time depth pick. My guy here for the Arizona Cardinals is James Cook, the running back out of Georgia. Now, I know that they just locked down James Conner to a big guaranteed money here, but you get James Cook in here. You just lost Chase Edmonds. You need a change of pace back. You need a running back that's going to be able to fit and work with Kyler Murray on third down, and he could do that. Sometimes you can line him up in the slot. He is that running back to take the weight off of James Conner's hands. Now, I know we talk about how the running back position is almost dying. You don't need to spend big on him. I think you can find him in the early to late third round. Perfect spot for the Arizona Cardinals to draft him. Again, he's a great change of pace back. He's good at blocking. He can work from the slot. He can do everything. He's obviously not what Dalvin Cook is. So James Cook is the brother of Dalvin Cook. He can't do exactly what he did. He's not going to play at that level. But with Kyler Murray, he's a great fit on that offense. He's a great change of pace back for James Conner. Go get him, Arizona Cardinals, James Cook.
I hate it.
Do you? I knew you would.
I hate it.
I knew you would.
I hate it. First of all, the disrespect you're showing to Eno Benjamin is just not nice. Eno Benjamin's a good backup. Eno Benjamin's going to get some playing time in Arizona this year behind James Conner. But James Conner's not coming off the field on these third downs like that. Like what we saw James Conner do in the passing game last year should solidify him as pretty much a 3-down back. If you're going to spell him, yeah, you can spell him. I think Arizona has so many needs that in so many positions, I don't think they're even have time to draft a running back. Like the defensive side of the ball, losing Chandler Jones, having no DBs, losing their wide receiver help in AJ Green, and all you have now is DeAndre Hopkins and who knows about a Rondale Moore.
James Cook can be a wide receiver. James Cook can play in the slot. Give him a Cooper Kupp type role.
Man, listen, no, stop. Just stop.
Look, AJ over here.
This is not a knock on James Cook. I think James Cook is one of the better, more versatile running backs coming out of this draft because his ability to pass protect and his ability to catch the football is at the upper echelon of this group. But I think Arizona has so many needs that in the third round, I think it's still too early to be good looking at a running back. It's not that James Cook doesn't belong in that area or he shouldn't be drafted in that area. I just think Arizona themselves have so many other needs that that defense is going to need help. Because we see that offense, they're so fast-paced. When they go 3 and out, it puts the defense right back on the field. They have no depth defensively, especially on the back end. I think that was evident when you look at all of our picks coming up. Look where we all went. And then where Vinny decided to go.
That's where I kind of wanted to go with mine first because I knew that it would be. I knew that the pick would not be like well received. Maybe I'll be the Dylan of for the Arizona Cardinals fans. They'll hate me for it.
It's not. Again, it's not a bad. The choice of the player is not bad because I really do like him. I just think the spot for him is not in Arizona. Like I think with signing Conner and Eno Benjamin being there, I think they're okay.
Yeah, he'd have to just fall in their lap and then they fall in love with the idea of another weapon because of the weapons they lost. But you're right. You're talking about a team that has improved year over year. And then at the end of the second half of both seasons, they're falling off. And there's reasons for that. And now they're missing pieces in critical areas. And if you don't have those buttoned up, you're not looking at a 9-0 run. You're not looking at a playoff berth. You're looking at trying to figure out where everything went wrong. So, it's not a bad pick. I love James Cook. You know why? But I'm going to go a little different, and we will jump over to the defensive side of the ball. And I think this guy who I chose is going to be a solid find if they decide to pick him up. And I'm going round one. I'm sorry. I'm going round one, pick 23, and I'm going with JALEN PITRE out of Baylor. I don't know how more people aren't talking about this guy. An absolute stud. His football IQ is top-notch, upper echelon. Great ball skills, great effort, great hustle. He plays with a smart aggression. Like, he's not just looking to hit somebody. He's making sure he's set up in the right spot to hit somebody. He plays downhill so fast. 18.5 tackles for loss last season. He's played a little bit of safety. He's played a little bit of linebacker. He lined up at slot cornerback over and over again. Was a big part of this Baylor defense. And anytime you see the ball, if the ball is near, Pitre's right there as well. This guy, he's going to be a solid all-around defensive player. Anybody who picks up Jalen Pitre is going to be very, very happy with this guy.
You are muted, host.
That's a minus. That's a minus. Let me ask you a question here, though. You have a first-round grade on him. You say pick 23. What's your cornerback rank? Like, if you just off the top of the dome here, and the cornerbacks that you can think of, what would be your rankings for cornerbacks right now? If Pitre's in round 1.
So I am first with Sauce Gardner. I think he's a little better. I won't say better than Derek Stingley. I've seen more Sauce Gardner more recently. And cornerback, to me, I don't know if you fall right in like you do as a wide receiver position like Jamar Chase did after a year off. So I would go Sauce Gardner, then I go Stingley, then I go McDuffie, then I would probably go Jalen Pitre, and that is after seeing his tape. I know there's a lot of good guys out there. I have another guy coming up we can talk about. He's not on that level yet, but he has the capability to rise. So those would be my fourth. And, you can slide Kyler Gordon in there somewhere. I don't think he's fifth.
You just forget about my boy that I talked about yesterday on Monday's show.
Kyer Elam.
Yeah, you
forgetting about my next guy?
Or the next guy that Dylan has.
Andrew Booth kind of ooh.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Sir.
So sorry.
You clown.
So sorry. My fault. My bad. You got me excited, bro. I'm just ready to. I'm sorry. I told you it's draft season. I'm hyped. My bad, folks. My bad, Phil. My bad. Why don't you just go right in and we can
want me to just come into it? All right. Well, it's Andrew Booth, Arizona Cardinals, cornerback, round 1 pick. Let's do it. Andrew Booth from Clemson University. Now, this guy, I tell you, the Clemson defense was good last year. They were pretty solid. They just couldn't score. So he made a lot of plays on that outside. He has great footwork. He's got very fast ball hawking skills and solid coverage skills. Tackling can be a little bit of a problem. He had 3 picks in 2021, 2 picks in 2020. He's bad against good route runners. So he might get beat a little bit if someone gives him a little shimmy head shake. That might leave his jock strap on the floor. But other than that, I mean, he's a pretty solid corner. I think he plays with a high motor. I like him a lot. And hey, they had some success. I think that a lot. I think I like Mr. Booth there from Clemson to the Arizona Cardinals. So speaking of their depth chart just a little bit, I know they added Jeff Gladney. That he hasn't played football in a year. He had the off the field stuff. A little bit of question marks there. I think it's all right to where he could come in and potentially see some time, but not get enough time right away to where he could work his way into some consistent playing time on that defense.
So I have a question here, and it isn't really for Dylan. His pick, that's a good pick. I like that pick a lot. But your pick's in round 1. AJ's picks in round 1. You guys both went corner. I'm just going to tease this here real quick. Aaron, yours is a cornerback, but it's not in round 1. I want to know, before you get into your pick, where you think the Arizona Cardinals need to go in round 1.
I think edge rusher. What are they, 23?
Yep.
I think edge rusher is going to be where they go.
Okay.
Again, we talk about putting pressure on the quarterback. Those tend to be the most valuable guys. You can get a good one in the first round. You're okay after 4 years paying that guy. Not that I don't think this is a deep defensive back class, but I don't really think it's very deep. I think when you start actually getting off of those first 3 or 4 guys that we mentioned, all those guys have flaws. There's some upside there, but it's not like, hey, this is a sure thing here. So I think Sauce Gardner is going to be gone. I think Stingley's going to be gone. McDuffie, I think, will be there, but I don't think Arizona goes there because I do think they're going to go edge rusher. So at 23, I'm thinking edge rusher. Off the top of my head,
Okay.
who do I have a mock to? I don't know. I didn't go first round for this.
No, I was really asking more for the position. If the people want to know who your pick actually is, they're just going to have to tune into all of our social medias at Sac City Pod. But who do you have the Arizona Cardinals as a must grab player?
Well, it's a guy that that's not really on my B-roll, and I don't know where it went. Hold that thought, because I am going to.
He is
find
not
it
there either for me.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I will, and I won't do this really as a stalling thing, but I will give you a special shout out here. Somehow, some way, you got every single one of these B-rolls at 33 seconds on the dot. And that's a lot of B-roll. That's a lot of videos. And if for people who don't know what we're talking about, we got videos rolling here. We're like a real show here, right? We do our best. And Aaron does all these videos on his wife's birthday. Shout out, Jess. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I mean, this is 33 seconds on the dot. When you have a clown show like Dylan, who gets his picks in at the very last minute, he is still able to get 33 seconds on the dot. That's special, man. That's special.
Don't give me your secrets.
I try. I'm not. Okay, so I got my guy up here. So look, I'm talking about a guy that maybe not a lot of people know about. He's only been a corner for 2 years. He's a converted wide receiver. He's from the University of Texas at San Antonio, and that's TARIQ Woolen. This guy is rangy. He's long. He is not your typical body of a cornerback, right? You're talking about a guy 6'4", 205 who ran a 4.26 40. He has size, length, speed, great ball skills. Again, a converted wide receiver. He obviously can, learn some technique. It's kind of sloppy at times, needs to improve in the run game. But this is a playmaker on the defensive side of the football that is going to go and get you interceptions. His pad level is a little bit high at times, but this guy is going to make plays. I am going to throw out a name, and some of you may remember him. Some of you may not. He got in some trouble, but he reminds me a lot of a super fast version, a speedier version of a Brandon Browner. And Brandon Browner was a big, tall, rangy cornerback. He was 6'4", just like this guy. And you don't usually see that at this position, but this guy runs a 4.26. This is a guy who reminds me a lot of Antonio Cromartie's ball skills with Brandon Browner's size. And it's scary to me how good he could be if he can learn some technique, if he can get a coach in there that can teach him how to hold leverage, how to, work his hands on press coverage, because this guy is going to go and get the football. His pro day wasn't great. His what do they call the thing in Indy? I always forget what it's called. The combine. The combine. I was watching it. He was really sloppy and in and out of his breaks. But when he would go up for the football and high point a ball or just his speed, it was just out of this world. And I really like a guy like that, taking that upside, and maybe you can mold him into something. So I went with TARIQ Woolen in the second round. It's probably a little bit high. I could see him dropping because of his raw, not having the experience, but some team is going to look at that physical freak and say, dude, we can make a player out of him. They always do. They love that size and speed.
I wanted to see where the rankings at, like some rankings. I went on to look at where roughly he is. He falls around 8th as the 8th best cornerback in this draft, right behind Kyler Gordon, Elam, McCreary out of Auburn, Andrew Booth. But he falls right there. Now, you brought up the fact that he was a converted wide receiver, and did you bring up Trayvon Diggs at all? Because that's what Diggs was. He is a converted wide receiver. Where he was. What is your assessment between those two players, and do you see Diggs in Woolen at all?
I think Diggs was a little bit more polished. He obviously playing at Alabama. You get the coaching that can polish you up a little bit better than a guy from University of Texas of San Antonio. So I don't want to compare those two, but they both have really good ball skills. And I think that's the comparison, is when you're a converted wide receiver, your ball skills are usually great because you've been catching the ball your whole life. So I like that aspect. I love playmakers. I like guys that are going to go create turnovers, even if you get beat. We talked about guys getting beaten. Diggs last year maybe got beat on some plays, but those sudden change turnovers are so big in the NFL. They create so much momentum that if you can do that, there's a spot for you in this league.